Yesterday we came to the point where in the Veda Purva Bhag we were discussing various topics, and we came to the point that in order to accept proper knowledge, in order to accept proper understanding, there are 5 means of acquiring knowledge. And this 6 means of acquiring knowledge, and of the 6 means of acquiring knowledge, the 5 means discussed in the first portion, the first 5 are for Bahirmukh. It makes us outside going, outside meaning in the world of plurality. It allows us to gain the knowledge of the objective reality, and not only does it allow us to gain the knowledge of the objective reality, but it makes us extroverted, and that is what is meant by Bahirmukh Praman. The 6th one that we were discussing, Shabda Praman, that Shabda, the valid words alone allows us to understand what the Vedanta has declared as you are that. In the aphorisms discussed in the Vedanta, the dosha rahita sadhyam, which I had talked about, the means that we saw, the goal, then we saw the means to the goal, and then we understood that the means to the goal, there are different types, and in there we saw that in the Veda Purva Bhag, all the goals that a person attains, all the goals that a person gets, these goals are riddled with intrinsic defects. That the intrinsic defects we saw as that it is asukha karatvam, atrupti karatvam, that it is dukha mishritvam, it is mixed with sorrow. Because of that, it is a genesis of the womb of sorrow. Then atrupti karatvam, no matter how much we acquire, we are never satisfied, and they are ones that will never lead us to absolute freedom. So it is bandhatva karatvam, it creates bondage. All those things we saw. So now the person looks for a goal which is devoid of these 3 defects. And the Vedas say that yes, there is a goal which is free of defect, and that goal which is free of defect, we saw that as nirdosham hi param brahma. Bhagavan also says that in Gita, that there is only one goal which is Brahman, which is free of all defects. And if Brahman is free of defects, then the natural question would be, how do I get Brahman? So then Shruti came and said that Brahman is not something that can be acquired. Brahman is you yourself. So the only difference between the acquisition of this goal is not the attainment of Brahman, but the removal of that which stands between you and the knowledge that you are Brahman. So it is the removal of ignorance. So now if it is the removal of ignorance, then how is this ignorance to be removed? So then we saw that there is only one way, and the praman for the removal of ignorance, and in the process it reveals our nature, is Shabda Praman. The Shabda also we saw, it cannot be any word. The word has to be not just any word, Shruti. Shruti meaning it has to be a revealed Shabda. The Shabda cannot be born out of any intellect. Any one person's thought cannot be considered to be a praman. So the praman has to be Shabda Praman. What kind of Shabda Praman is it? Shruti. It is revealed. What kind of revelation it is? It is revealed naturally to a person, but that person has no individual identity, and thus the person that is to whom this is revealed, this Shruti Vakya is apaurushaya. That person confirms that this is not something that they created, something that they meditated upon, but this is something which was revealed to them. They were simply instruments to whom this word was revealed. Now this word, when it was revealed, that word had to be tested and verified. So the word which has to be tested and verified, this word was shared amongst like-minded people, and the like-minded people to whom this was presented, they verified it, and thus that same Shruti, apaurushaya Shruti, becomes Agama. What is meant by Agama is Guru Shishya Parampara Dvarena Agamayati Agachati iti Agama. That it has arrived through the process of the teacher-taught relationship. The teacher learned it the way it was taught, because to the teacher the revelations did not arrive, but to the teacher a learned teacher revealed it, and the revelation was not there, but it was a Rishi Praman which was verified and tested by a lineage of Acharya, and that becomes Agama. Thus we have the Shruti, apaurushaya Shruti, which becomes Agama, and that Agama itself becomes the Shabda Praman, is where we left off yesterday. Now when we see this Agama which has arrived, that Agama Shabda, the Vedas which have now trickled down through the process of the teacher and the taught relationship, this now becomes something known as Vedanta. It is a true final analysis of the thought. Vedanam antim nirnaya iti Vedanta. Not just the Laukik meaning, that which occurs at the end of Vedas. It is, yes, Upanishads are at the end of Vedas, but Upanishad is the highest revelation. There is nothing greater to be known after knowing what is declared in the Upanishad. That is why the actual definition is Vedanam, of all that is to be known. Antim Nirnaya, the final thought, the final thing which is to be known, that is Vedanta. So now we have that Agama, which is Vedanta, and that Vedanta has to be studied properly. If we are not rishis, and to us if the revelations have not arrived, that means we have to make ourselves adhikari, qualified. So how do I make myself adhikari? So Vedas have to be heard. Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasan, Margena, Dvarena. It is to be acquired through Shravanam, Mananan and Nididhyasan. Shravanam of what? Again, Shabda Praman. Shabda is to be heard. Agam is to be heard through a proper, and I went through this great thing, why a teacher, why a proper teacher, length of time, systematic study of Shastra. Systematic, consistent, both study of Shastra for a length of time in front of a competent teacher is Shravanam. So now the teacher also has to lead through proper teaching, because that thought has to be generated, because the difference between, the distance between us and that is ignorance. So to remove ignorance, we can remove the darkness by turning on the light. How do we turn on the light? On the inside. It is not like you take a bucket and empty out the darkness in a room. Light is required. So over here, two things will have to be done. The mala has to be removed and the positive light has to be turned on. So the systematic analysis, arriving at a proper conclusion of the central teaching of Vedanta, is done by Shadlingaihi Tatparya Nirnayaha iti Vedanta Abhyas. There are sixfold analysis that one must go through. Vedanta is a presentation of the systematic sixfold analysis of how to generate something known as prama, a thought. A thought has to be generated into the mind and the intellect equipment, and that prama prakarshena miyate anaya iti prama, that which very concisely, precisely gives, reveals knowledge of Brahman. That is prama. That thought has to be produced. And that thought, how are we going to produce that thought in the mind and the intellect? Again, Shabda. Shabda Praman is used. The word of Agama, the teacher's word is used. The teacher uses words to create that, and just simple Upakrama upasamharo abhyasa apurvata phalam arthavad upapattihi. These are the six. Upakrama, upasamhar, the introduction and the final conclusion. Then the next one is abhyas. The central point is repeated, repeated, repeated. If we do the Shadvidhi Linga Tatparya Nirnaya of Bhagavad Gita, how many times Bhagavan repeats, 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 repeats. Every chapter he repeats the idea in different ways. The different way is also another one known as apurvata. The uniqueness in unique way in which Bhagavan repeats the teaching of Bhagavad Gita. So we have Upakrama Upasamhar 1, Abhyas. That Abhyas, repetition, is he finds ways to make the same old teaching fresh and new by different angles, apurvata. Then he has to, Arjuna has not yet reached, so kuch lalach dena padta hai. You have to give him some reason why he has to continue, otherwise it's exhausting. What am I going to gain out of it? Phalam. What is it that you can gain from this? So every so often the phalam is introduced. We see Sthita Prajna Lakshan, Lakshan of a Karmi, Lakshan of a Dhyani, Lakshan of the Bhakta, Lakshan of the Jnani, Lakshan of the Gunatita. Bhagavan does it in every chapter. This, what is it that you can gain, Arjuna? You can be a Gunatita, you can be a Sthita Prajna, you can be a Bhakta, you can be a Jnani. All this beautiful, Bhagavan does that phalam. Arthavad. Then we see chapters 16, 17, he approaches in a very different way. The same teaching, we are seeing chapter 16, it looks like it's such a negative thing. But the deliberation is, he is trying to impress upon Arjuna the importance of teaching. So, proper thoughts are brought. Why there is Asuri Sampatti? Why has that to be ejected? What can it create? So there are good deliberations. The Arthavad in Kshetra, Kshetrajna, Bhagavan brings out hair-splitting logic to explain this absolute awareness and the absolute nature of absolute awareness. Bhagavan in 15th chapter also, he brings the example of Surya, Chandra and Agni, and he gives beautiful exposition on Uttama Purusha. So, Arthavad and Upapatti, and in this way, all these Shatlingai. Now, with Shravanam, Ajnana Nivrutti. With listening, it removes Ajnana. Mananena Shamshaya Nivrutti. By contemplating, by reflection, the doubts which are generated are removed by contemplating. Listening is not enough. It has to be a doubtless understanding. So, mananena shamshaya nivrutti. Nididhyasanena viparita bhavana nivrutti. With nididhyasan, all the habitual ways of living which we have acquired, viparita bhavana, that has to be ejected. So this is the process of Shravanam, Mananam and Nididhyasan. So the listening, then Mananam, reflection, Nididhyasan, contemplation, meditation, this does not produce Brahman. Okay, very important. We are not producing Brahman. With Shabda, we are facilitating proper understanding, proper knowledge of Brahman. That is all. So, by Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasan, We are not generating Brahman. We are not creating Brahman. We are producing prama, proper thought to understand Brahman properly. That is all. Even now we are all Brahman. We are always, we have been, we are, and we will be. It's just that the notional distance between me and Brahman is removed by proper understanding. Now, the doubt appears that the same scriptures say that with words, Atman cannot be revealed. That words fall short. Yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha. Naina shrutena, not by listening. So there are so many places, na tatra vag gacchati, na chakshur gacchati, na mano, na vidmo, na vijanimo. It doesn't, Keno Upanishad, all Upanishads, they also say words cannot reveal it. And you just got through saying that only by words it is revealed. So how do we reconcile this? So now we have to understand, see, there is a reason why this introduction, and before we get to the Upanishad. Words, with words, for the words to reveal, some conditions have to be met. 5 conditions have to be met for a word to reveal something, to reveal an object. So with Shabda we are revealing the object called Brahman. For now, take it as an object. Yes, it is not an object, it's subject. But because it is ajñāta vastu, it is not known, it is still to make the ajñāta vastu jñāta anubhav. We still require words, but the words have to work in the purview of 5 things. It is called Shabda Pravrutti Nimittani. The words, these 5 things, words have to go through to reveal. For a word to reveal proper knowledge, it has to satisfy these conditions. Shabda pravrutti nimittani. The pravrutti of the shabda, the condition, it has to be satisfied. What are those? Now, first one is rudhi. That is called pratyaksha vishayatvam. It has to be available for direct perception. When I say phone, you all know what phone means. Rudhi, it is an object. So, it is a pratyaksha vishaya. Pratyaksham pratyaksham. It is directly available for perception. That is called pratyaksha. The second one is jati. It has to, for a shabda to reveal, it has to be categorized. So even we see in zoology, there is phylum, genus, species, everything is categorized. So when we say feline, we know what feline means. Dog does not belong in that family. But all the cats are categorized as felines. They have canine, they have retractable claw, and all sorts of unique behavior, all those things. So we categorize them and names are given according to it. So we have something known as jati. So the shabda, in order for it to reveal, jati has to be there. Rudi, jati. Then the next one is guna. Guna meaning it has to have a quality. Like for example, when I say jati, we saw all the animals are categorized. Vruksha, tree, it is also categorized. When I say a peepal tree, you know what a peepal tree is. When I say parijataka kalpataru, now nobody has seen a kalpataru. It is a heavenly tree which fulfills the desire. Now nobody has gone to heaven. Nobody has seen that. But we have seen a local vruksha. And we have seen the parijataka flower. And we have seen the parijataka tree. So the imagination is the flower as delicate as that, and one tree which gives a blanket of flowers are collected at the underneath the tree early in the morning hours with fragrance, with beauty and everything. So that simile is extended that there will be a tree like that which fulfills hundreds and thousands of desires. Like the parijatak flower, one tree produces thousands of flowers. So like that, an understanding arrives, and kalpatru, I can understand that. So jati, guna, when I say nila akash, nila gagan, so akash, space element, but then there is a blueness superimposed to the sky, the blueness of the sky. So a blue thing, a black phone. So we have colors and qualities which then the next one is, fourth one is karma or kriya. So action. Several years ago in 1970s, if you had uttered this word, did you Google it? They would have no idea what it means, because there was no such thing as Google back then. But now it has become, the name of the company has become a verb, kriya. Did you Google? So are you going to take Uber? What does that mean? Question is, what is your mode of transportation? So even the word Uber has now become a kriya, an action. So for the word to reveal, we have that karma kriya. And then sambandha is the fifth one, the relationship, father, son, mother, daughter, husband, wife. So like that, for a shabda to reveal a meaning, for a word to do its job of shabda pravrutti nimittani, these five things have to be present. But we see in Brahman, none of the five things are there. Brahman is not Rudi, it is not an object, it is a subject. So Brahman doesn't satisfy the first one. Then jati, jati, niti, kula, gotra, duragam, nama, rupa, guna, dosha, varjitam. Shankaracharya ji rejects all of them in one shloka in his meditation. So jati, there is no jati of Brahman. Na brahmanyopalabdhi swarupo hamatmya Svarupo Hamatma. This is Hastamalakiyam, that there is no jati, no guna. So guna, that is why Bhagavan in 14th chapter, Gunatita, one beyond the gunas. Then he has no gunas. Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, not just that, no guna. Kriya, what kriya? Karma yoga, chittasya shuddhaye karma, natu vastu upalabdhaye, vastu siddhi vicharena, na kinchit karma koti bihi. Clearly mentioned in that Brahman, chittasya shuddhaye karma. What does karma do? Again, karma also does 5 things. It can vikarya, samskarya, prapya, apya, all those things I went through. So with karma also 5 things are done. So Brahman cannot be captured by kriya. Sambandha, what sambandha? Ekameva advitiya satvastu. A relationship to what? One thing, you need a second thing to have some relationship. There is no second thing, so no sambandha. So then, if words are required to reveal and words require these 5 things, then how is this Brahman to be revealed? So Upanishads find beautiful 4 loopholes in these 5, and through these 4 loopholes Brahman is revealed. And that is the beauty of Agama Praman. The Shruti Praman does that. So what is the first one? The first method that the Upanishad employs, it is called the unreal attributes or apparent attributes are used to reveal Brahman. And this is the mithya attributes. Having arrived in the mithyatva jagat, the mithyatva attributes of the mithyatva jagat is used to reveal Brahman. So what are the mithyatva attributes? For example, I mentioned the blue space. Does space have color? No. Space has no color, but blue space is used because when we look at the sky, the vastness of the space releases all light of the spectrum of light, but blue it catches and holds on to it, doesn't release it. So as though blue is seen in the sky, and in the same way, just like we see blueness of the sky, but in sky there is no blue, but we use in the same way for a Brahman, we use something known as sakshitva. That is the mithya attribute. The first attribute of Brahman is sakshi. It is a witness. Now, to witness, 2 things are required, but we just said in Brahman there is only one, there is no second. Then what does it witness? So, with regards to the mithya prapancha, there is a mithyatva attribute of Brahman, and that is sakshi. And we just saw that mantra in Mundaka Upanishad. Dvasupurna sayuja sakhayo samanam vruksha parishasvajate tayo anyam anashnan abhichakashiti. One does not eat watches. What is that? That is called mithyatva sakshi. But the other one, swadu annamatti, it eats the sweet and sour fruits. So Mundaka Upanishad, sakshi is used, this first attribute that is used, superimposed upon Brahman, that it is sakshi. It is sakshi. Second, a temporary or an incidental attribute that is applied to Brahman to reveal Brahman. And to point out Brahman, this incidental attribute is used, and I will explain it via an example. The line of houses in San Francisco, you know, they are all stacked next to one another. And you are standing on the street and a row of houses. So you want to point the home where Dr. Sharma lives. And as you are talking about that person, Dr. Sharma, how are you going to reveal which of these homes is there? A crow comes and sits, happens to sit on that home. And you say, that home on which the crow is seated. That home where crow is seated, that becomes a lakshana of the house of Dr. Sharma. And then the crow can fly away. But it is revealed that person knows which home it is, and he will walk in front of it. As he is walking, a crow can fly away, whatnot. Crow happened to be the incident which allow knowledge to help facilitate. Crow has nothing to do with the knowledge. In the same way, our consciousness is revealed Navadvare pure dehi naiva kurvanna karayan. What does that mean? Puram ekadasham dvaram ajasya avakra chetasaha. Katha Upanishad said, in the fortress of 11 holes, Bhagavan says, in the fortress of 9 holes, consciousness lives. So when we did that chapter, we said consciousness is not part of the body, product of the body, or a property of the body. Consciousness enlivens the body. So consciousness is indicated through body. The body will fall off. The crow flies off. Body falls off. But through the body, it is indicated that consciousness pervades the body and livens the body. But consciousness has nothing to do with the body. Consciousness is ever different from body. So, incidental attributes are used to reveal Brahman. So, unreal attributes or apparent attributes, first one. Second, incidental, and the words used over here is Navadvare pure dehi, the word dehi. But in Brahman, there is no such thing as dehi. Then kshetragnya, that is incidental. But in Brahman, there is no such thing as Kshetrajna. We have a whole chapter on Kshetrajna. If we really look at it, there is no such thing as Kshetrajna. What Kshetra? Which Kshetrajna? It is an incidental appearance of the universe. That's all. So with that, Kshetrajna. Then the other one is absence of attributes. That's the third one. So if there are 7 glasses with 7 different liquids, and there is an 8th glass with nothing, I can tell somebody, the teacher will say, go to the art room and you get the empty glass. So the student is understanding emptiness as an attribute. One has pencils, one has erasers, one has protractor, whatnot in art class, whatever is there in different glasses. This one glass, nothing inside. So nothingness becomes the attribute, and we have a whole bunch of them. We have Nirguna, Nishkriya, Nirvikara, Nirlepa, Nirmala, Nitya, Nirakara, Nirakula, the whole section in Lalita Sahasranam, Nir. 7 shlokas in Lalita Sahasranam. Just who is this Devi? Well, she is none of these things. Are you are talking about a Devi who has gunas and who has no gunas? And that is something to be reconciled. Nirguna, Nischinta, Nishkriya, Nirupaplava, Nirbhoga, all these things, Nir, not. So absence becomes an attribute. And then the 4th one is indirectly talking about Brahman without talking about Brahman. This can only be understood with an example. A mother comes with one child. And the mother who comes with that one child, she is introducing herself. Swamiji, this is my name. I have 2 sons. The other one is smart, and this one is standing over here. How does he feel? The other one who is not here is smart. What is implied is this one is dumb. He feels so bad. But he is not even talked about. But in saying that Swamiji, the other son is a smart son, it is implied smarter compared to him, isn't it? 2 sons are there. One is with me. She is introducing, and so the other one is smart. So now this poor one feels very lousy because he already knows that he is being talked about, even though he is not being talked about. 3 people are there. They are sitting in Starbucks. Each one of them has their drink, and the phone comes, and the person just says, 1 minute. He'll get up, go outside, finish the phone, come back, and his glass is empty. He said, Arey, who drank my coffee? There are only 3. One went outside. He came back, said, my cup is empty. The second one says, I did not drink it. So what does that mean? The other one who is sitting on the table, he drank that coffee. So naturally that person will look at and say, what's going on? And the conversation continues. So this is without talking about Brahman, we talk about it, and that is called neti neti iti vakyaihi. You reject, but there are on the coffee table, the Starbucks of Brahman, there are too many things to be rejected. So that is why neti neti iti vakyaihi. So much this person didn't do it, this person didn't do it, this person didn't do it. Then who did it? So indirectly, this is how Brahman is indicated. And in this Upanishad, the most famous Upanishad, uses this neti neti with the 3 avasthas of human being. This is the glory of this Upanishad. The Omkar is revealed as Turiya, and the Turiya Omkar is revealed in this Upanishad in a very peculiar way. That Jagrat, well, it is not that. Swapna, well, it is not that. Shushupti, it is not that. Then what is it? What remains? What remains? Turiya. And our poor Gaudacharya Padacharya ji has to write 215 karikas to explain what remains. And he categorized them in 4 sections to help us understand what remains. This is how Agama Praman, Shabda Praman reveals this Upanishad, in this Upanishad. Shankaracharya ji, before he starts his commentary, he pays homage to a lineage of teachers which in the beginning of the 4th Karika it is there. So we will chant this from now on every day. Instead of me doing Shankaram Shankaracharyam, we will chant this shloka in my book, page 217. The new books, which one is it? Same page? 313. Repeat after me. Narayanam Padmabhuvam Vashishtam Shaktim cha Tatputra Parasharam cha Vyasam Shukam Gaudapadam Mahantam Govinda Yogindra Mathasya Shishyam Shri Shankaracharya Mathasya Padmapadam cha Hastamalakam cha Shishyam Tam Trotakam Vartika Karamanyad Asmad Gurun Santatamanatosmi. So now that we have finally arrived at Shabda Praman, Shabda as revealed in Shruti, but Apaurushaya Shruti had to be verified. Verification is done through Agama, and this Agama lineage is what is extolled over here in this shloka. it is said that this shloka is a composition of a great Acharya Anandagiri. Anandagiri ji has written commentary on even Shankaracharya ji's Bhashya. There are Ved is there, Upanishad, mantras. On mantra there are karikas. On mantras there are bhashyas. On bhashyas there are tika and tippani, and it goes on and on and on. There are notes there. There are brief understanding, brief notes are there. Detailed notes are there. Detailed notes is bhashya. And then to help us understand the mantra, which is a very difficult to memorize, to make the concept easy for memorization, is over here known as karika. It was to help us memorize, because it is composed in Anushtup Chandas. And the shloka, the composition is in such a way that it's easy to understand. This shloka, I went and I explained, the lineage starts from Narayanam. So, I explained Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam. So, Narayan Bhagavan is the one who has incarnated as Vyas Maharshi ji. And he is the one who authored Gita, and he is the one who authored Brahma Sutras. And the avatar of Narayan Bhagavan authored it, and the avatar of Lord Shiva commented upon it. Shankaracharya ji is a Shiva Swarupa, he is the avatar of Lord Shiva. So both. So Narayan Bhagavan, Padma Bhuvam, from his Nabi comes Brahmaji, who is a Shrushti Karta. So Brahmaji, Vashishtam, his disciple Vashishta Muni, Shakti, his disciple Vashishta Maharshi ji, Tat Putram Parasharam cha, and Shakti Putram, it comes in our Vishnu Sahasranam. So Parasharam, Vyas Maharshi ji's father, and Parasharatma Jamvande Shukatatam Taponidhim, we even say that. So Vyas Maharshi ji is Parashar Rishi's son. I showed you the pictures of the caves of Parashar Rishi. I went and stayed for some time. Vyas Maharshi ji's caves are in Badrika Ashram over there. Shukadev ji, the whole Himalayas is his cave. He never stayed in one place. So Gauda Padacharya. So Gauda Padam over here, Gauda Pad. So he came from the Gauda Pradesh, which is the northern portion of Bengal. And it is said that he hailed from there, came, and he called Uttarkashi his home. So in Uttarkashi, on the other side, very close to Uttarkashi, are Gaudapadacharya ji's caves over there. That's where he dwelt. Gauda Padam Mahantam Govinda Yogindra Mathasya Shishyam. Govinda Bhagavata Padacharya is Shankaracharya ji's Guru, and Gaudapadacharya ji becomes his grand Guru. Shri Shankaracharya ji, Padmapadacharya ji, to whom Jagannath Puri Math was given with Rigved. Hastamalakacharya ji, to him Dwarika Pitham was given with Samved. Totakacharya ji, to whom Joshi Math, Jyotir Math, whichever one you want to call it, in Badrika Ashram was given with Atharvana Ved. And Vartika Karamanyan, the Vartika composed by none other than Sureshwaracharya ji. So he's written Vartika on Bhashya, and that Vartika of Sureshwaracharya ji of Day-3 Upanishad is considered to be the best for the study, because the Satyam Jnanam Anantam Anandam Brahma, he has written beautiful Vartika on it. Actually, he's written Vartika on all bhashyas of his Guru. It's a greatness. And Sam Ved, Yajurved was given in Sringeri, is Vartika Karamanyad. Asmad Guru, and from this lineage comes our. So this Agama Praman is what I had talked about yesterday, and today is this. Now Shankaracharya ji introduces the topic in 2 shlokas in his Bhashya. This is not in your book. You have to have Gita Press, Gorakhpur. There's a complete Sanskrit Bhashya, and in here this shloka is there. So I will do this shloka because it is very important shloka. In here everything is explained about this mantra. Prajnanam shupratanaihi sthiracharanik nikara vyapi bhirvyapya lokan bhuktva bhogan stavishtan punarapi dishanod bhasitan kamajanyan pitva sarvan visheshan swapiti madurabung mayaya bhojayanno Maya Sankhya Turiyam Parama Amrutamajam Brahmayat Tannatosmi. This is called Mangalacharana and Vastu Nirdeshyaka Mangalacharana. 2 things he achieves. Before you start any good work, you remember Bhagavan. So that is called Mangalacharana. And after Mangalacharana, the first thing you have to declare is, why are we sitting here? What are we doing? We are sitting here because it is a class of Brahma Vidya. So the subject matter is revealed, and the revelation of subject matter is known as Vastu Nirdeshakarthaka. For the sake of revealing what we are gathered here for. So what is it? Last line it says, Brahmayat Natosmi. He reveals that we are here for Brahman, and to that Brahman I bow down. So it is Namaskar. Now who is this Brahman? That is all these lines. The whole shloka is Brahman. So verb was found. What is the verb? Nataha aham. I bow down. Natosmi. To whom do I bow down? Brahman. Who is Brahman? Prajnanam shupratanaihi sthirachara nikara vyapi bir vyapya lokan. Who is Brahman? Vyapya lokan. He pervades everything. And what are the things that he pervades? How does he pervade? All these questions you have to ask, and the answers are all given in here. This is how the Sanskrit shloka is opened. So you find the verb, you find the subject of that verb. How is that particular noun being revealed over there? So I bow down to the noun Brahman. What is Brahman? Vyapya, pervading. Pervades what? Lokan. How does he pervade? Prajnanam prajnana amshu pratanaihi, by sprinkling the rays of consciousness in everything. This Brahman sprinkles its prajna, consciousness, amsha of that is pratanaihi, it has sprinkled. And to where has all these rays of consciousness, where have they sprinkled upon? It has sprinkled upon sthira chara nikara vyapi. It has, the rays have pervaded the world of animate and inanimate objects. Sthira, all the jada padartha. Chara, all the jangama padartha. And in this way, that Brahman has pervaded. I know people have to go to work. I will stop over here. I'll continue tomorrow. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayaha, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhavet. Om shanti shanti shanti. Harihi om Shri Gurupyo Namaha. Harihi om. Tomorrow